Welcome back to the Unhappy Hour, episode 4. Today we've got a very special guest, Joe, from my old banking days, and kept in touch, pretty good friends now. I'm also part of our little casual poker group. Today the Gimlet is the drink of the episode, and we're again drinking gin. So the botanist, beautiful gin. So we'll talk to you a little bit about what we get into in this week's episode. We talk a little bit about climate change, technology, and like how that's gonna make some changes. Talk about my guest Joe's history both in banking with me, and then also with he was did 2/3 of a degree in medicine, so that's a little bit interesting. One of the pretty smart dudes, so be interesting. Probably want to have him back a few times. So we didn't really get through everything we wanted to in this time. But yeah, I'll put the recipe up as usual for the cocktail, and I hope you enjoy the episode. I feel like I need to find a way to make these. Better format for this kind of stuff, huh? And this week, we're not self-straining anymore. I'm going to double strain that bad boy. Yeah. We're not running a sham bar anymore. That's right. We're a legit operation. Cool. Let's run the episode. And now we're coming into our next segment with my new guest for this. Well, my guest for this episode 4. He's someone I've known for a very long time. We work together in finance. Questions around what constitutes a finance bro. Looks a lot like Kratos. Had a crazy transformation. Circus acrobat in his spare time. My dear friend, Joe Moukhtar. Let's give him a round of applause. Beautiful. Try not to talk when we get onto the mic, but welcome. Welcome in, dog. Welcome in. Grab a seat, grab a chair.
Do I have to hold this?
Yeah. Just pull it out of that thing. It's a little bit niggly, but yeah. Welcome on.
Crazy talk. What's up?
Hey,
How's it
what do
going?
you think?
Yeah,
I have
good.
a podcast.
That's
I have
good.
a show.
It's great.
You know, it's
Good
happening.
job. Excellent work.
No one thought this of me when I was working at Heartland, eh?
I thought this of you.
Yeah, really?
I thought you'd get there.
Thought I'd do some dumb shit like this.
Well,
I mean, that's like, I guess.
you always talked about doing a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and believe me, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah,
that is in the plans of what we're gonna talk about 100%.
Where do I look? Do I look at you? Do I look over there?
Try and mix it up between looking at me and the camera.
I see.
But yeah, let's do a cheers. So
Yes,
cocktail of the evening, the Gimlet. Oh fuck, it's doing that thing again where it connects. But cocktail of the evening, yeah, beautiful. You need to ring that out. Floor suck.
It's fine. You can't even see it. It's fine.
If you want to cut that, we're not gonna cut it. 'Cause it's
Just
hilarious.
leave it in. Fuck it.
It's
Whatever. Who gives a shit?
Personally, that's.
I was focused on looking at the camera, and then I spilled fucking drink
Look,
all
man,
over
people
myself.
get nervous on set all the time.
Listen, I'm not even nervous. I don't know what happened.
No, I know. You're like
Who
this
gives
guy,
a
and I'm only joking because this guy's got the most podcast experience out of everyone I know. To be honest,
I did
Yeah.
7 episodes.
7 episodes?
4 years ago.
What was the concept? I heard a few of them, but
I don't know. I caught myself monologuing to myself in my head a lot. Like when I was driving or doing nothing.
And you're like, am I crazy or should this be a show?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, pretty much. And so I was like, well, how do I get these ideas out of my head? And I tried writing them down, but writing's boring.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I did the writing thing as well. Like, not for
it
me.
Sucks. Well, it doesn't suck. I mean, some people it's good, but like I found that my brain my brain thought too fast that my writing couldn't catch up, and then I couldn't write it well enough to encapsulate my thought.
Which is crazy because this guy is like one of the we're talking about writing digitally, right? Like he literally learnt Dvorak, which is a different keyboard layout, so he could type more efficiently. Like if his brain is too fast to keep up with that, I don't even fucking know.
I don't
He's
know.
on another planet.
I don't know if it's more efficient, but I mean maybe it's more efficient. But anyway,
isn't that the whole point?
Well, it's supposed to reduce fingers. I don't know. Maybe most people probably haven't heard of Dvorak. Yeah, it's supposed to reduce your finger travel.
You've heard of QWERTY. Dvorak is like Dvorak is like a nerd QWERTY.
So the idea is that like QWERTY was invented because of typewriters,
right?
And so in a typewriter, if you press keys that are close to each other, the typewriter had a tendency to jam.
Yeah.
And so the person who invented the layout intentionally put letters that were commonly used together as far apart as possible on the typewriter, so that when you type, it's less likely to jam the typewriter. And so, but then you transition to regular keyboards where that's not an issue anymore, but people still use QWERTY because it's just the norm, right?
Yeah, and just like really highlighting how fucking dumb I am. Like, from the layman sense, like QWERTY I didn't even really understand the logic of it, but I was just like, typing's all good. And then fucking, Dvorak, I found it was a thing because I tried to use this guy's keyboard once. I was like, why is it typing in a weird way?
So they invented Dvorak, and it's got all the vowels in one place and all the commonly used letters, so that your finger travels this. But honestly, it was more just for fun to see if I could do it, and just to be a weird alt-y motherfucker.
It's a little bit of a fuck you, right?
Yeah, you
like,
can't.
It's a little like, oh, you want to use my keyboard? Let me change the
Yeah,
layout.
let me change it for you, fucking plebeian piece of shit.
Learn how to be smart.
Anyway, so I was driving and monologuing to myself in my head, and I was like, well, should I just talk into a microphone and see if I can get these ideas out of my head? And so the first episode I did was about like religion and why I was an atheist and all this shit, and like,
which is kind of maybe we add that to the questionless string.
And so I found like, well, after I did that first podcast, I no longer that topic was out of my head like forever, and I didn't have to think about it anymore. So it's kind of like decluttering my brain was the purpose of that podcast series. But now I've sort of cluttered it again, so now I'm here to declutter to declutter once more.
We're like, this is like, we've tried a few formats, and we're trialing well, not even trialing, we're episode 4 into it, so like we've trialed the format now. So if there's been any bad feedback, then this wasn't filmed in advance.
That's fine, don't worry about it.
To clarify that. But cool. Like if you want a brain dump, bro, we got space for that. Like we got everything in this,
brain dump everything.
100%.
But you said what really concerns me is you said you really don't want to get canceled. And
I don't want to get canceled.
You don't want to get canceled, but I think some of the stuff I want to talk about might get you canceled. Or get me canceled, but I don't really care.
I just want to clarify that by saying that, like, I don't think anything I say will get me canceled.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I don't have a producer to vet that stuff because I think that anything I say will get me canceled.
That's fine.
But no, like this is a completely free space. Say whatever you want, Joe. Say whatever you want. Anyways.
cut to the next bit. It's probably all get cut, but fuck it.
Well, we actually do have a segment. We have a segment. It's called Depressing Questions. Depressing Questions, if you say it quickly. And, like, if you know a bit about my show, you know that it's called The Unhappy Hour. You might be wondering why it's called The Unhappy Hour. And it's not just because we have a bar and we're drinking at midday. No, it's actually because depressing questions. And, I have some of those for you.
All right.
So... shall we get into it?
I guess.
The first depressing question I have for you is, we met originally, we maybe briefly touched on it, we used to work together, right? We used to work at a company, I'm not going to name any names, Heartland Bank. And I just really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of why we felt that was a good way to progress our careers, and also...
we didn't think that was a good way to progress our careers.
Well, we both took the job, so I think that's
but taking a job and progressing your career is very very different.
That's true. That's true. We had a lot of fun in that call.
We did it. Yeah, we did.
And I think we should touch on that. I just want to touch on, like, what was your perspective, and what was your mindset going in? Because I know you. I feel like you knew someone else that worked there, and like when you first started there, maybe you had higher expectations than.
I don't know. Like it was interesting. So it was like my second job. I dropped out of university because I studied medicine, and then I was like, you know what? This
2/3 of a doctor.
Fuck this shit. I'm out. Fuck this. It was, I don't know. It was too.
What were your thoughts on medicine as well? We touched on that maybe later. That's like one of my actual other depressing questions. So maybe
okay. Anyway, I dropped out of university. We'll touch on that later. And then I got a job in some IT company doing like calling people, like some accounting shit. And it was like 4 people. And then they got rid of me because the company wasn't doing well, and they were like, you know what, this guy's useless. We don't need to pay him $30,000 a year. Fucking get him out of here.
$30,000 a year.
No, it was like, I can't remember how much it was. It was like 35 or something. Anyway,
It's tough.
it was the lowest. It was like just above minimum wage.
No, actually, to be fair, that would have been back in the day before minimum wage was like fucking 60.
Yeah,
which is like, the reality we're in right now.
Yeah, and then we got a job at Heartland Bank, and it was alright. I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect of like a big company, but it was alright. I mean, it was a job.
Yeah, shout out Andrew Lord.
Shout out to Andrew Lord, for
okay.
referring me. If anyone knows him, he was in hospital for a kidney stone recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway,
Fitting for depressing questions.
exactly. Yeah. But
Rest
yeah,
in
it
peace,
was.
Andrew.
Yeah. apparently he almost died. Like
Oh,
legitimately.
actually, oh fuck, well, that's poor taste, then, isn't it? Fucking Jesus.
Well, yeah. Anyway.
And if we cut there, that's why. But no, honestly, he was like, it was interesting, like working in that dynamic. I feel like we all got quite close. Like, we were working the call center.
Yeah.
Andrew was in the role that we both took after that.
We both took his job.
Yeah,
Well, I took his job, and then Adam took my job.
And we also both took a pay cut
Yeah.
every time from his job.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
bullshit.
Interesting
Anyway.
to see how that planned out. Anyway.
So yeah, this is kind of like my first proper job, really. Out of dropping.
You
out
wouldn't
of
consider
university.
the IT startup thing like a proper job?
It was a proper job, but it wasn't really a proper job. I didn't really have anything to do.
Well, it gave you enough experience to get into
Yeah,
Heartland.
somehow. But I mean, to be fair, Heartland hired fucking.
Well, they hired me. I was a bartender.
They
at the
hired
time, bro.
fucking paper napkins, so just like.
We had some very interesting colleagues. I
Yeah.
love them all, though.
Yeah,
Shout out to all
truly. Tyler Thorburn. Anyway,
Good gun. Good.
so yeah, it was
Yeah.
good, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I got very lucky, and I just stumbled into a
Yeah.
career progression, and now it's pretty
How do
good.
you feel about where you are now, like data analytics kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it makes money. I wouldn't say I'm passionate about it, but
Really,
it's-
because like, if anyone's watching, I'm very passionate about data analytics.
if my workmates are listening,
Yeah, I wake up
God
in the
damn
morning
it.
and I think like, damn data. You know, like that's the first thought,
Yeah,
last
yeah.
thought. You know.
I believe you.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, no, I've kind of like joked about that in a couple of the episodes, but yeah, like I think that it's interesting. We both took a very like similar path,
Mhm.
despite like I don't know, like I wouldn't have thought that us to be fair in the call center was pretty funny. Like we were kind of like the guys that we did like worked hard to an extent, but we had the best output.
We
but-
worked efficiently.
Yeah, we worked efficient. We had the best output for sure, but
It does make you think about how inefficient most humans are.
yeah,
like
most
most-
humans, most call centers
Most
specifically.
Most people are idiots.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If you're watching this, you're not one of them. You're one of the smart ones, is what I want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do kind of agree to an extent. Like, I was definitely expecting to get into corporate and for it to be like a lot more competitive, and then the realization of actually being in that environment was like, damn, they work less hours than bartenders, and arguably most of it's still like data input.
But
so.
I don't know. I think you find your people, and you find your group with your who are similar, like hopefully similar to you in intelligence and temperament, and then you all work together, and ideally you get along because you're more,
and you
personality
don't
aligned.
have to be the same like intelligence to get along. Like we fucking get along, and I'm an idiot. So like,
Hey, listen,
yeah.
don't say that.
Hey,
You're-
for context, this guy is like a legitimate genius.
I'm not a genius.
You
Who
don't think you're a
says
gen-
that?
Well, you're a genius. I'm saying you're a genius.
Listen, there's people
That's
listening. They'll be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Now they're gonna be against me now.
Yeah, I'm not trying to turn them against you.
This guy's a genius, huh?
I'm
Let's
just-
hear what he has to say.
Yeah,
Let's hear what he has to
well,
say.
What do you have to say, Joe?
If he's such a
I-
genius, we'll see now.
No, I didn't want to put. Okay, let's put it a different way. He's not a genius. He has a high IQ and he doesn't apply himself.
All right, listen. Listen. There's no place for being above the audience, all right?
I'm
We say
not
that.
above it. Yeah, no one said that. If anything, I am the audience.
All
Joe's
right.
above the audience,
Yeah,
maybe.
Listen. Unbelievable. This is yeah. Anyway.
No, I didn't want to put you on the spot, but my point was like literally like I felt like in the call center we got along, but it was definitely not like intelligence based. Like you were explaining basic concepts to me all the
Well,
time.
yeah. I mean, you're pretty smart. Like you can't deny that.
Oh, I don't think I'm not like I don't think I'm dumb, but like
Yeah.
I definitely but like I spent high school.
I know a little bit about a lot of things. And
Yeah,
it seems like I'm smart because I'm like, oh, I can engage in this conversation. I can engage in that conversation.
yeah.
But in reality, I'm just talking at my ass.
Well, I'm just talking about my ass when I do it worse. Like, it called out more. And, like, you know, my points are less coherent. But, you
Right.
know, like, at the end of the day, like, I do agree. Yeah, I guess I do agree to an extent. You know, like,
I wouldn't be here if I didn't think that you were like a reasonably intelligent and good person to talk to.
I think the main reason, to be honest, that like we started hanging out was less to do with like the intelligence gap, which is there, but more to do with like our desire to do dumb shit, like the business venture stuff, like. And I think that was like, I mean, this isn't even really depressing questions. This should really be in the next segment, but I'm gonna touch on it now anyway. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
We started a few companies. Maybe it could be depressing because none of them took off, but we had a few ideas creatively, and I feel like, you know, there's a few that I could talk about. Like I'll just outline them so you guys want me to talk about. So there was, to start with, the Holy Tea Co., which was fantastic idea, fantastic concept. And then we also had our infamous art gallery, which I feel like we have to.
We still need to do. We need to do this.
Yeah, to be fair, it is still on my to-do list. It's mainly money is the object, because we don't have David Cutler anymore to sponsor our fucking.
Shout out to David Cutler.
Yeah, shout out to David Cutler. Good cunt.
Yes, the art gallery is very good.
Do you think it's okay to call people good cunts on live? I don't know. Fuck it. We're gonna do it anyway.
Who fucking cares, man?
If it's bleeped, that's what I'm saying.
It's bleeped. Bleep it. I guess you could bleep it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about swear words and bleeping them in videos.
I don't think you should. Like, I'm not gonna get. That's my big. I'm not really concerned about it, but like, I know that I'm not gonna get monetized for any of this stuff. So I really need to sell T-shirts for this to be viable, considering the amount I've
I don't know.
poured into this.
It's really when I see a YouTube channel or something and they say like, you know, fuck or like fuckery or shit, and it's bleeped out. I'm like, who are you really protecting with this? Like, are you protecting kids?
I think what they do is like, because like now that I'm like, quote unquote YouTuber, you know, like behind the scenes, there's like a setting when you like go to upload a video where it's like, is this for kids? And I think that if they bleep it, they can put is this for kids, and then it just expands their audience.
But
well, because YouTube will push it to them.
What kid is watching a video where someone's like saying swear words and bleeping like half the time?
Well, I think that's like part of the fun of it. Like, right? Like, did you not like watching like R-rated movies when you were 13?
Well, I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't watch many.
I didn't watch them, but I definitely wanted to.
Yeah, I guess
I was
so.
like, why are they fucking out of my league? You know, like, why can I not watch Happy Gilmore? And now, retrospectively watching Happy Gilmore, I'm like, why wasn't I allowed to watch Happy Gilmore?
Yeah,
you know. But
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with swear words. I think any word is fine to say out of context.
Of course.
You know.
Well, no, not of course, but any word is fine to say out of context.
Like out of context, like if I'm reading a dictionary, like.
I think there's some that like.
I don't think so.
And we're gonna cut there before we get into any more scandal. But yeah, to circle back to the original point, I did want to talk about like you know, we barely touched on the businesses, bro. The Holy Tea Co. Can you explain a little bit about the Holy Tea Co. for anyone that isn't religious and isn't offended by that?
Is it that interesting? I guess maybe.
Well, the fact that we started a tea chart while we were supposed to be working full time, I think is interesting.
Well, the tea chart was supplementary to I think the idea, the key to success in any venture is just your marketing. Best example of this is something like Coca-Cola, right? Where like everyone knows that Coca-Cola is not good for you. And yet it's like one of the most sold products on the fucking planet Earth. Like if you go out and you talk to 100 people and you ask them, is Coca-Cola good for you? Like 99 of them would say, no, it's not good for you.
Yeah, but they also still buy it.
But they would buy it. It's like still.
Well, you share this. That's like crazy. There's literally like 2 countries that they don't sell it to. It's like Cuba and somewhere.
Yeah, and it's like
Cuba and North Korea. I think are the 2 countries they don't sell.
I think it is like legitimately one of the top 5 most sold products on the planet. I don't know what's number 1,
without question. Yeah.
But like, and it's all about the marketing. And I think the key to their marketing is that it appeals to your emotion rather than like your product. It's like they're not out here like, oh, this is a good product. It's gonna make you, you know, whatever. It's like. You know, I think the tagline is like "taste the fresh," or like, what is it? Like "refresh, taste the freshness."
I thought they had some shit about summer or something.
Yeah, the taste of summer, isn't it? Yeah, the taste of summer. So it's like, you know, you think of, you know, you see that, you think Coca-Cola, the taste of summer. Oh, I like summer, therefore I like Coca-Cola. It's like it appeals to your emotion. And I think that's what really makes it successful, because like I said, everyone admits that it's not good for you to drink it. Yeah, and yet here they are still drinking fucking bucket loads.
Well, the only reason they got like initial success was because they had cocaine in the recipe, right? Like, and like
Yeah, but like
It's
you
pretty
can't.
hard to not drink Coke.
Yeah,
When
but
that's
they're still successful.
well, they're
And-
successful now because they had, like already built that brand recognition. You know, like
Yeah, I don't think so though. I think
you
like
think there's other stuff.
I
in
think
play.
that sure, I get that the cocaine in the recipe got people addicted and got off the ground.
initially it got it off the ground, and then when they had enough money to pour that shit back into like marketing and advertising, like
but like still, their marketing still has to be successful for them to be a successful company. Like if they had just left their recipe and done nothing, of course it would have died.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Have
think
you ever tried putting cocaine back into the recipe?
not me
'Cause I
personally.
Anyways,
but
to say-
So yeah, anyway, the best marketing appeals to your emotion,
Mm.
makes you feel something, because that's the thing that's gonna force you to think about buying it.
Moods change like seasons. Sad collection for all seasons. What are your thoughts on the like whole Pepsi Max like versus Coke thing? Because I will like caveat this by saying like I went to Sylvia Park the other day and I trialed Pepsi Max and Coke blind test,
Yeah.
and I chose Pepsi Max. Like,
Yeah.
unironically chose Pepsi Max, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
'Cause,
And
like,
but
that-
you didn't know which one was which.
I don't know which
Yeah,
one.
okay.
And back in the day, I would have definitely known. But like, I
Yeah.
feel like I've been like, you know, moving away from that stuff a
Yeah.
lot. And then like the fact that I thought Pepsi Max tasted better objectively, I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's like crazy.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I mean, I pretty much never drink
Sponsored
fizzy
by
drinks
Pepsi.
anymore. I pretty much never drink fizzy drinks anymore, just because I know
Yeah.
like it's terrible for you, and I know that, and I
Yeah.
find it hypocritical of myself to know that it's bad for me and still drink it, so I don't drink it.
Is that 2/3 of a doctor coming in? Or?
Well, you don't have to be any percentage
kind
of
of
a
health
doctor to know that
professional to
Coca-Cola
know.
is fucking bad for you.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Well, you just said 90% of the
fizzy
people in the world.
I
Probably.
mean, ask anyone. Like, I don't think anyone in their right mind would say, yeah, Coca-Cola is good. It's good for you. Yeah, no, I drink Coca-Cola all the time. It's great. It's delicious. It's way
Yeah.
better than water. Like,
I
no
think-
one would say that.
For me, that was what was concerning was like the whole like teeth test thing where they like put
Yeah.
the teeth. I mean, it's like obviously an unfair experiment, but like
Yeah.
the teeth rotting in Coke, I was like,
Yeah.
you know, like you can kind of feel that a little bit when you drink it. Like I don't know if it's just the carbonation, but like
Yeah.
for me, I was like, oh damn, maybe that's
yeah, yeah.
not the best.
It's
So that's
terrible.
why I drink Blue V.
Sponsored by Blue.
Sponsored
So yeah. Anyway, I don't really drink fizzy drinks.
Well,
So-
you actually that is a good segue because you're on a bit of a different diet right now. Right? You're doing you're doing the
Yeah.
carnivore shit.
Well, I did. Yeah. So I did no carbs for a couple weeks.
How was that?
Good. I felt great. Like
Mhm.
I had more energy. I lost a bit of weight. I mean, yeah. I think losing weight is kind of inevitable when you cut out, chocolates and snacks and other kind of shit.
When you
but-
cut out a third of your diet. It's
Yeah,
like-
yeah.
Which
And
is it's like one of the big
yeah,
yeah,
especially carbs, because carbs are just so so many calories, and like you can eat lots of it, but you can't really eat an equivalent amount of calories in steak as you can with fucking bread or potato chips or
literally
something.
because of how expensive it would be.
Well, not expensive. It's just you get way more full.
but both.
It's also
You know,
expensive,
yeah,
but
it's
yeah,
also
it's
expensive.
like
Literally,
but-
if you were to replace your like carbs with steak, you would be
Yeah.
fucking. Or maybe
Yeah.
I'm just buying expensive cuts. I don't
But
know.
steak,
but,
I
like-
mean, there is this misconception out there that steak is very expensive, but really it's not. Like
yeah, because you go to butchers. That's
you go,
smart. Yeah.
you go to a butcher and you buy, you can buy
Mm.
like a reasonable cut of steak for $7-8.
yeah.
And that's 250 grams of steak. That's enough for like one meal. If you're having like one steak a day for lunch, $7, that's cheaper than going out,
I kind of almost like that vibe, like going back to like the like corner store, like butcher
Yeah,
kind of vibe. It's
exactly,
kind of
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I found a butcher like close to me, and that's literally what I've been doing for if I work from home. I have
Mhm.
lunch and I cook a steak for myself.
How often do you work from home at the moment?
Not so much lately, but usually 2 or 3 days from home,
Yeah.
depending on the week. But there was a time, when I was pretty much working every day from home, so I'd buy 5 steaks on Monday morning, have them every day for lunch, and yeah, I felt amazing.
It's way better for dieting, right? Like literally, like working from home for me has been like a game changer in terms of like what I'm eating and like how easy it is to stay healthy and like
Mhm.
consistent. But like,
Yeah,
I literally had the realization this week that my internet connection down here isn't good enough. So
right.
I'm probably gonna have to start going into the office, and like I'm really fucking salty about that, which is like
Yeah.
crazy because 2 years ago I was going in every single day and like
Yeah.
not even thinking about it.
Yeah, that is crazy. That shift is insane. Like I remember going in literally every day to the bank to work.
Yeah. To
And
the bank.
It was
Shout out Heartland Bank.
Shout out Heartland Bank, sponsored by
Sponsored by Westpac.
Sponsor, yeah. And yeah, the shift to just working from home,
Mhm.
several days a week is is, and like, you know, it's crazy how quickly you and how most people as humans are able to adapt to a new situation. Like anything, like even negative situations, you know, you put up with it for a week and suddenly it's like your habit.
Yeah, true.
It's really crazy.
We adapt super quickly as like people.
Like you sort of, you don't want to put up with it for like 2 or 3 days or a week. You push through that. Like you know, it's anything like going exercising or running every day or something. It's like you put up with it for a week, and then it just becomes your thing. That's what you do.
Yeah.
And I think that David Goggins does that kind of shit too. Like
you like David Goggins as well?
I've listened to a little bit of him, and he's
my personal hero.
He's your personal hero.
He's one of them. He's in the top 5.
I mean, he's amazing. Like, it's crazy. Like, he's got
amazing.
like pull-up records and fucking all this shit.
The pull-up records, the like ultra marathon shit is insane.
The ultra marathon shit is crazy. But yeah, like
have you heard the stories about him like fucking running on broken ankles?
Yeah,
for like 100 kilometers. Oh, not even 100 kilometers. I think it's like 100 miles. Or
yeah,
shit. Like,
some ridiculous shit. Anyway, but yeah, like you know, it's the stuff that he can do. I think, you know, he can do it because he knows how adaptable he is as a person and how we all are. And he's like, well, you know, I'm going to do 100 pull-ups or 1,000 pull-ups a day until whatever, you know, and he just does it. And you put up with it for a week, and then that's your habit. It's done.
And then you're fucking doing it. Yeah,
it's not like, because I think the thing that puts most people off is like you're averse to change, and you think, oh, I'm going to have to do this every day for blah, 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 blah. But no, you don't have to do it every day. You just do it for a week, and then you don't think about it. And then it's done. That's your habit.
That's so true. And like, so are you like sort of floating around on the? I guess he's like David Goggins, kind of in the self-help kind of like side of things. Like I talk about that a little bit, like because I've been inspired by those kind of guys, you know. Like, obviously you.
It's hard not to.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Even though he's like he's like trying really hard not to be inspirational. He's just like doing his shit, you know. Like,
yeah. But that is inspirational. Yeah, like monkey see, monkey do, right? Like you've got people doing that.
I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, it is wild to see him work.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, how did you discover him first?
I think I saw clips of him from his interview with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I think like Rogan's like a classic staple, right?
I heard him talk about, and then I heard about. I think did he have the world record for the longest plank or something, or maybe it was his pull-up record. I can't remember.
I think he's definitely got the pull-up record, and I don't know if you know Cameron Haynes.
I don't.
No, he's like another crazy guy. Basically, his son Truett Haynes took over David Goggins' pull-up record.
Oh, crazy.
And like it's like, you know, that's like wild in and of itself. But yeah, like all of those guys, like I learned through Rogan, which is like, and not embarrassing to say because like obviously Rogan's like a good dude and stuff. But like I don't want to be too much on like the like, you know, like Rogan podcast kind of
It's a fine podcast.
But he does talk about a lot of interesting stuff. I just think like, you know, sometimes his takes on COVID and stuff are a little bit, I don't know. Well, what are your takes on that?
On what? Joe Rogan talking about COVID?
Yeah, well, like I feel like maybe we have had this conversation before, but like, you know, the whole mask shit and like,
I don't know. I don't think vaccine mandates were a good thing. I don't think mask mandates were a good thing. I don't think infringing on people's freedom was a good thing. And
I don't think my First Amendment rights.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you joke about it, but like it's quite a serious thing. Like people losing their jobs because of vaccine mandates, and now like stories coming out from Pfizer saying they didn't actually test their vaccines to reduce transmission.
Fuck, I didn't even know that. What's happening with Pfizer?
So I can't remember. Like a couple months ago, Pfizer they had a court case, and the Pfizer like medical engineers or whoever, I don't know, whoever it was, CEO, admitted to not testing their vaccines for reducing transmission person to person, which was the whole reason that vaccine mandates were a thing. But they never actually tested it for that.
I was always against vaccine pass, mainly because it was just like inconvenient.
Well, yeah, like not just inconvenient, like legitimately creating second-class citizens. Like I wouldn't have got the vaccine if I had known that information.
Yeah, and there was people that I knew that like had like bad reactions to it. Yeah. I don't want to be like too on that side either, but like, you know what I mean. Like there is the reality out there that like, you know, it wasn't good for everyone, and I think people started to realize that at the end.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think they were a good thing. I think the good example we have of that is in Sweden, where basically the government said, you know, hey, look, we're not going to enforce vaccine mandates. We're not going to force you to wear masks. Just if you're sick, please stay at your home, and let society continue as normal. And their COVID deaths were, I think, the lowest in Europe.
Really?
And I think their excess deaths, so deaths caused by people not being able to make their cancer treatment things because of lockdowns, we're also the lowest in the OECD.
So what did you think
think,
about like the whole like Jacinda stuff? Like,
Well, yeah, I think like Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot, where he says like the outbreak happened in Wuhan, and then the Chinese like totalitarian party like said lock everyone in their houses, and then everyone else was like, oh shit, we better lock everyone down, like follow copy China, which is like, why would you copy China for anything?
they're doing pretty good economically.
Are they? I don't think so.
Oh, they actually not? I don't know.
Well, they have 300 million people in abject poverty, so I don't know if you.
That's true.
That's good.
That's true. My only stats, I know they're in debt a lot to, or the U.S. is in debt to them or some shit.
Well, yeah, but like,
and true. I don't know.
their quality of life is on average is significantly worse. Abject poverty is, I think, less than $2 US per day.
I saw some shit though about like how like there's all these like Chinese nationals or whatever that are like traveling all the time, and then like they always seem to go back home, and like the fact that I don't know if I'm being like.
Well, I mean, if you're a rich person with Chinese residency, I'm sure it's fine. But the fact that they don't care about like 300 million people, that's like a quarter of their population living in abject poverty. Like that's fucked up.
Yeah, that is fucked up.
That's the population of the US in China living on less than like $2 a day or whatever it is.
And there is some shit like that. Aren't they currently in like some sort of like war with a smaller country?
With
is it Taiwan?
Yeah.
Taiwan.
Oh, Hong Kong or something. I can't
Super
remember.
embarrassing that I don't know the
Yeah,
specifics
neither.
of that. Maybe that's like this isn't our area of expertise.
Well, no, yeah.
But yeah, like, it is interesting to see like how we responded to like a virus attack, and then we like based it all off China. I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if they based it off China, but I mean, it seems like that. And anyway, I think Sweden's a great example of what should have happened in the Western world in response to this outbreak.
Some sort of outbreak like that.
Because there's like heaps of examples of people who because of lockdown couldn't make their cancer treatments and didn't get diagnosed for their lung cancers, or missed treatments and stuff like that. And
That's
those people died, and those are the excess deaths. But like that's a fucked up statistic. It's like it's just like we're just gonna focus on COVID, and it's like, well, right, you sure about that?
That did get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah. So sure. And those are some years that people aren't gonna get back. Like those are 2 years. Like if you had a child who had just been born, like 1 or 2 years old, they've missed out on socializing with other 1 or 2 year olds for like 2 years. Like who knows what
kind of impact do you think that has on like?
Well, I don't know. Like there's never been an experiment before.
Yeah.
like that would be inhumane to do.
Well, we're innately social creatures, though, right? Like if you don't have like that that kind of interaction at an early age, like I don't know, like that's like the whole reason a lot of people are in therapy, right? It's because like they weren't like close with their parents, or their parents work too much or some shit, like it seems like such a small reason to be in therapy, but like it's a really underrepresented like percentage of, because like there is like the the vast majority of like the crazy bad stuff, but like if you pander to that, then like you miss like this big scope of like everyone goes through some shit,
Well, yeah, everyone goes through some shit, and like everyone's experience is as valid as anyone else's. Like it's just because
there is some stuff that's worse.
Yeah, of course, but
like in the scheme of things, though, like I know
it's relative. Like you've the worst thing that you've ever gone through is like as well, not as bad, but like you can't key into someone going through something worse than you because you've never experienced that, and it's very hard for you to relatively understand what someone else has gone through, and it's very hard for them to understand what you've gone through. So you try to relate to people, but it's very difficult.
I was thinking maybe we could talk a little bit about I feel like you've had a lot of like interesting not even side hustles, but just like side hobbies almost.
Side
like,
hobbies, all right.
Yeah, like would you call it that or no?
Side hobbies, like what, my circus performing?
Circus, acrobatics, like you're the only person I've met professionally that like can like legitimately say, oh no, actually I say the second person now, but the first person I'd ever met that could say they do circus acrobatics as a side hustle. It's like, oh my god, that is insane.
I wouldn't say it's a side hustle because I'm not really making any money off it, but it's just fun.
Well, you were teaching people for a bit, weren't you?
Yeah, but like it was more for fun and like as a favor to my friend. Fair. It wasn't like I was.
Shout out Dion.
Shout out to Dion. Like it was just fun for me. Like I wanted to learn how to do
What
cool
what
stuff.
even brought you to get into that? Because like I remember we used to like take lunch breaks all the time, and you would fucking be like doing your handstand shit. You were doing like the handstand challenge. I was like, damn, this guy fucking actually like does
Handstand February. Shout out to Handstand February. Yeah, I don't know. Well, the first thing I did that was like exercise movement related was Taekwondo when I was a kid. And
you did more than that. You did fucking
and
what
Wing
is it?
Chun as well. Wing Chun, yeah. So I did a bunch of martial arts. Well, 2 martial arts. And then one of my friends in high school wanted to learn how to do a backflip, and I was like, oh, I want to learn how to do that too. So we went together to the gym and learned, and then we saw these guys doing like kicks and twists and like crazy flips, and we were like, holy shit, we want to learn this. And so that's how I got into like this whole movement, like art, like that was tricking, and we learned about tricking. And then it sort of just taught me how to like be aware of my body and you know how to train and how to have like aerial awareness and all that kind of shit.
Does that sit in like the would you say that sits in like the parkour space or more in like the like
so parkour and tricking are different. Parkour involves like obstacles and you're jumping over shit and doing flips off stuff. Tricking is like you're just on flat ground, you're doing kicks, flips and twists.
How does that compare to like the gymnastics like floor routine?
It's similar to gymnastics. But there's more like it's more off axis. It's like it looks like dirty gymnastics if you had to describe it.
All right, fair.
So
it's like kind of a blend of the two.
Yeah, blend of the two. So there's a lot of off axis flips. There's a lot of like martial arts kicks because it's kind of a blend of everything, and you just kind of like make it look aesthetic and like understandably people who have had a gymnastics background looking at tricking are like, what the fuck is this? They don't really understand. Everything kind of looks the same.
I had like a small gymnastics. I wouldn't say I had a gymnastics background, but I was like interested in a girl at the time, and I decided to do gymnastics.
Yeah, right.
And
classic.
But like that's why I find it like kind of fascinating because I like thought about getting into parkour for a while as well because like have like kind of that background. I got like the flexibility and shit, but like I just like have never like progressed any of my skills beyond like.
Well, it's difficult, and there's a lot of fear involved too, especially with like you know backflips, especially because you're scared of landing on your head and all that kind of stuff. But you know,
I always like panicked hard out when I was doing that shit. Like I do it into like foam pits and shit, but like even then, like
it is scary. Like I
flick flax. No.
I can't. It's very hard for me now to remember what it was like to be scared about doing a backflip.
Yeah,
which is like it's a really weird thing, but like you know, it's sort of it's so. But by the time you've just sort of done it so many times, you mastered it. It just becomes natural. Like you're not scared of doing that thing, and you know, it's like you know, if you really want to do it, you know, if you're scared, just do it. Just do it scared. Fuck it. If you're scared,
use it on concrete and shit though. That's like crazy to me. Like,
well, you don't do it on concrete straight away.
Yeah,
it's
like you build up.
You have to. Like there's a level of recklessness that you need to have to progress in life in a way. But there's a level of There's a level of recklessness that's like too far. That like you sort of have to know where your safety boundaries are, but at the same time be willing to risk enough to actually learn, because you can't learn without risking something, especially if you know you're learning gymnastics or something. But it applies to most things too.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's like a lot. Like, that's like a lot of depth there that I can get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe we take like a quick break and make another drink because I'm empty now. And
very good. All right.
We can circle back to some of that more stuff.
Deal. Yeah. All right. Okay. Sounds good.
I'm gonna step back into or maybe not step back in. I'm just gonna try and cut this smoothly. So
we have new drinks.
Yeah, these drinks have been here the whole time. I don't know why you're talking about. Oh yeah, let's do that.
My apologies. I see.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah, I think that the ice does make a difference. But anyways, like, you said that you wanted to talk about climate change. And
I did. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know anything about climate change, so I'm really curious to hear your perspective.
I've changed my tune on climate change.
You've changed.
I think. Well, let's okay.
Okay. Tell us. Maybe start with what your stance was, and then now what it is.
So we all learned in high school about the greenhouse gas effect and all this other stuff, and
Yeah.
how the global warming and all this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's pretty hot in here, so
It is hot in here.
that's my reference. Like,
Now, recently, after listening to people like Bjorn Lomborg and a few others,
who's that?
Bjorn Lomborg is I think he's Norwegian. He's a educator, and I presume he's a climate scientist. I don't know. He talks about climate a lot, so I assume he's a climate scientist.
Okay.
But anyway, he presents a lot of stats and stuff, and he so anyway, my stance on climate change is that human caused climate change is, well, the degree to which climate change is caused by people is grossly overrepresented.
I
That's
have
my
heard
stance.
some shit about this, and like,
Yeah.
let's keep in mind that I'm a pseudoscientist at this point. Like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I just did the thing again. Anyways, my stance on climate change to this point has been that like, I think it's bad because people say it's bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
and beyond that as well. Like, I guess like
the problem for me is that it's very difficult now to garner what is actual facts about climate change from it's very hard to distinguish what are actual facts about climate change and what are just opinions from people who are just anti-human, anti-capitalist, like down with the establishment, down with what we've done as a human civilization.
Right. So you're saying that like what Leo said at the Academy Awards might not have been.
What did he say at the Academy Awards? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Something about climate change.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, probably like I don't know. I think because like it's very hard. Like journalism is a problem now because it used to be that a journalist wasn't supposed to give you their opinion. A journalist was supposed to tell you the facts
And bias, yeah.
and you give your opinion. But now, like I was reading something recently about, this is completely another topic, but about have you heard of this thing about the American dietary guidelines that were released in like 1980, where they said like
The pyramid, yeah, that's
the food
That's
pyramid, right?
fucked up, man.
And then there's a graph of like American like obesity by per capita, and like 1980 when the
yeah.
thing was introduced, the obesity just like spiked up like crazy.
Yeah, well,
And
there
so-
was like some crazy stuff in that though.
Yeah, but anyway, like so the and like whether that is causationally responsible, I'm not even talking about that, but all I have to say was I was reading a article about it, and the journalist was writing, and she was saying like, oh, look at this, here the dietary guidelines were introduced, and here the obesity pandemic epidemic skyrocketed, but this is all rubbish, blah 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 blah. Here's why. And it's like, I'm not here to listen to your opinion. I don't care who you are. You're just a journalist. You're supposed to tell me what the facts are,
And then I make my decision.
I make my decision. You're not supposed to tell me your decision. You know, like if a journalist ever says this is wrong or I don't agree with or something like that, like they're a bad journalist.
Yeah, objectively speaking, yeah, for sure. I think like you're more of a blogger at that point.
Yeah, like it's an opinion piece rather than
Yeah.
and like the problem is that if you confuse an opinion piece with like this is a fact, then it's just you're leaping to conclusions that aren't based in reality. You're just making a leap, and it's not based in reality, and so you've got nothing really there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna pretend to like understand the intricacies of like the climate situation and stuff, but like I've definitely heard like I suppose like what everyone's heard about like how global warming happened, and like something that was like enlightening for me was the fact of like the constant consummation of like the ozone layer thing, and how like apparently that's been fixed. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah. So that's another thing that people like. I don't know why, but it seems like the information that the ozone layer is like being repaired is not a relevant piece of journalistic literature.
Yeah, which
like,
it arguably should be.
It should be because
so
if people don't know, the ozone layer, there's a big hole in the ozone layer above Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it was they nailed the the cause of it was due to propellants and aerosol sprays, chlorofluorocarbons, which are a synthetic.
Is that like from like
propellant.
Lynx or?
Yeah, from like Lynx cans and stuff like that. So
Literally from Lynx.
yeah, so they used to use like they used to use like that as a propellant.
Lynx
in aerosol
Africa
spray.
killing the environment.
Sponsored by Lynx Africa.
Sponsored by Dove.
So they realized that chlorofluorocarbons (CFCs) were ruining the ozone layer, and so they developed a new propellant that was neutral and didn't interact with ozone. They banned chlorofluorocarbons from all aerosol propellants, as they should. And now no problem, the ozone layer repairs itself. And it's
I've heard this shit before. I know, I don't know, like it's so hard to like, because I think like my biggest like stance on this is like, not being a climate scientist, it's hard to like argue with like the mass, like what you're being told, right? Like
but like, you have to, right? You have to ask where the evidence. Where is your evidence?
That's to an extent, though, but like, I don't know, like when we're talking about like these two parties of people like that are saying things that both sound legit, and like I don't have any grounds in climate science myself. Like I can't really like.
But I think there's
either of them accurate. You know,
there's a flaw in if you're not educated on climate, therefore you are not allowed to speak on climate related matters, or you are not educated on X, therefore you're not allowed to talk about X. It's
I mean, Greta fucking talks about climate change. She's fucking educated as fuck. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not saying that like you can't talk about it. I'm just saying like that like I just don't have anything to add to the conversation. And like I also can't validate either side.
Yeah,
you know?
but what I'm saying is that the dominant the narrative seems to be that you're not a climate scientist, you're not allowed to speak about the effects of climate change. But there are climate scientists out there who are talking about like, well, hey, look, maybe this isn't actually human. Maybe carbon dioxide isn't the cause of this or that. It's like,
there's definitely like the science for sure. The fact that like climate change has been a thing for a long time, right? Like it's not like it's like a new phenomenon. Like there's been like there's
been 2 ice ages. There's
exactly
been there's like there's earthquakes going to happen all the time. There's volcanoes. You can't attribute earthquakes to human activity. I think.
You've got to like I mean I don't know if this is just me being like, oh, the world centers around me, but like you got to think like at least this generation like has maybe contributed in the sense of like the industrial revolution, right? Like, or is that not the case?
Well, I don't know. I think the evidence for that is lacking. So
interesting. Because it seems like objectively, if you like, I can picture like the presentation right now. It's just like, and then we had the industrial revolution. It's just like all of these guys scooping coal, like.
Well, here's the thing, right? So, so in the 1970s, the Times magazine, like there were a bunch of covers of the Times magazine that were talking about the big freeze, the great freeze coming up. You should be worried about the great cold coming and all this shit, right? Fast forward to like 2003, and suddenly it's global warming. You should be afraid. 2-degree world. Like, here's what will happen if blah blah blah.
I see that shit on One News all the time.
Yeah, well, yeah. But then fast forward another 10 years to like 2018, and now it's climate change because they can't tell you whether it's getting colder or warming up, so they've just gone climate change because it encapsulates everything.
Yeah. So you think, but I guess like you can't be like naive. Like we have some impact, whether it's like cold or hot. Like, is that a bad thing? Is the question, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I think. Well, here's where I think that whether or not we. Well, okay. Here's why I'm not. Here's why I'm not worried about. Here's why I'm not worried about climate change.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that by the time that climate change, if it's whether it's human caused or not, in 150 years, if it's a problem, human beings in 150 years will be able to control the weather.
I thought we'd be on Mars, but no, bro. I don't know. Is Elon working on that? Or?
Well, no. Just look at the evidence. Like look at what's happened in the last 150 years.
We can't even guess the weather right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like you can't even tell me whether it's going to be raining. You can't tell me what the temperature is going to be like 7 days from now. How do you expect me to believe you when you tell me what the temperature is going to be in 50 years?
That's true. But like, I think that do you think it's even more of a crazy claim to be like we'll be able to change the weather?
Is it any more crazy than someone in the 1800s saying that we'll be on the moon in 150 years?
Will we on the moon? And that's where we get into the real science.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, okay. There was between the Wright brothers' first flight was in 1902. 1902 and 1903.
Yeah, that was like some basically like it's like a.
That was a paper plane.
It was
basically.
a large paper airplane.
It was a
right?
big paper
Like,
plane
essentially.
with a motor.
Yeah.
And then 67 years later, in 1969, Neil Armstrong stood on the moon.
Well, did he though?
Well, I'm like
I don't know.
I'm very confident that he did.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, to be fair, I'm just so shit. Like,
yeah, I know.
I was trying to be like
So
science.
So to dismiss the claim that human beings will be able to control the weather in 150 years, I think is.
I think dismiss is a strong word, but I think that like it's the same probability as us guessing what fucking AI's direction is. Like when everyone first saw the like advent of AI, they were like, oh my god, all of the like laborer jobs are gonna go, and then like the first jobs it's taking is like the creative jobs, just what we all thought were gonna be safe for the longest. You're like, no one can predict the end scope of this shit,
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think it's too far out of scope. Like, that's why I think technology. Not like technology is absolutely the salvation to humankind's problems. Like,
well, yeah,
100%. But not just technology, cheap technology. Making the technology that makes other technology cheaper is the thing that makes society better.
What are your thoughts on like the whole like everyone's like quick to say Elon Musk is doing a great thing by bringing in the advent of like electric cars and shit, but then like there's the whole counter argument of like the cost to the planet of like electric batteries and shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is a valid argument, and like really when you buy an electric car, all you're doing is upstreaming your energy cost to the coal plant that generates the power that charges your car, rather than putting the petrol in your car directly. Yeah. So that is valid, but I think that it at least is a step in the right direction of, okay, now we've got something that doesn't need to consume petrol to exist.
And there is theoretically clean energy sources that could surpass it. Like once we reach like nuclear energy, then like
I mean that's a long way away. But again, in 150 years, who knows what's going to happen? Like
I would say that's more of like a less far fetched like. You know what I mean? Like, it seems more pseudosciencey to be like, we'll be able to guess the weather than like, but maybe not. Maybe.
Well, I mean, listen. Like, if you talk to someone in 1890 and said, in 70 years, like you talk to Neil Armstrong's grandmother and say, your son's gonna walk on the moon, she'd be like, she'd think you're fucking delusional.
Yeah.
But it happened. So it's I think it's not as far fetched as you think it is.
If you looked at a graph of like human improvement, we're definitely being like on an upstream.
It's ridiculous.
Sure.
It's crazy. Like if you think about like, and the thing is like you, as a person existing in society, you don't notice the change that happens because it happens so slowly and so gradually.
We talked about it a bit in the last one. You noticed like a little bit like the attention span thing.
Yeah. So, but again, like that thing sort of, it's not like you wake up one day and you've got a short attention span. It's not like you wake up one day and you've got the smartphone. It happens very slowly. It happens very gradually, and it's it's the frog in the boiling water thing. If you throw the frog in the boiling water straight away, it's gonna freak out. But if you put it in cold water and slowly boil it, it doesn't even notice that the temperature is increasing. So that's why I think like the smartphone's a great example, where you start with a mobile phone that's just a giant brick that you have to carry on your fucking belt and
the pager stuff as well. The pager
knock yourself out when you fucking answer a call.
Yeah.
And then
that feels like a callback to The Office.
yeah.
I put that link there.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny shit.
And then it slowly transitions. It gets a bit smaller. You get a screen. You can play Snake on your pixels, and then all of a sudden you've got a touch screen where you can send a dick pic to some Italian chick without like no way. Like
all of a sudden, what is it, Tinder Gold or some shit?
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like there's no way you could have predicted that.
I mean, you could. Well, I mean, I could have predicted that thirsty guys were going to be looking abroad. Like they've been traveling for years, Doug. But I understand what you're saying. Like I think that's the point, though, right? Like technology progression is so unpredictable that we can't fucking say what's going to happen next, and like. Really, it is all like speculative, and like I don't even know. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, are we in a simulation right now? Like, do you even fucking know? Like, I don't fucking know. Feels like kind of like
I don't know, and my opinion is that it doesn't matter. I think whether we're in a simulation or not, you're gonna exist the same way no matter what.
But
if I told you if I told you I was like you and you knew I was telling the truth, I was like it is 100% certain that you're in a simulation right now. Would you do anything differently?
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
Yeah, bro, I would quit my job right now.
But like, okay, if I told you that you if you die in the simulation, you also die in real life or something like that. I don't know.
I die in real life if I die in the simulation.
Yeah.
Well, then that's different. That's because then it's not a simulation anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
well, like what do you define as like for me a simulation is something that's temporary. That like,
so you think you're gonna die and wake up in like the Rick and Morty thing where you're playing it?
Yeah. whatever the like context of it is, but like the fact is that there is like a reality beyond where I am right now.
And you're gonna, and when you die, you wake up to that.
Are you saying
external
that,
reality?
that's like saying to me like would you act differently if you were in a video game right now? Of course you fucking would.
No.
What, you're gonna fucking go to work every?
Well, what else are you gonna?
Taking the piss,
what else are
bro?
you gonna do? Like, there's the
if
rules
I
of the
found
video.
out right now that I was in a simulation and like my whole life was in like a video game, no, I would not fucking go to work.
What would you
Monday
do
to Friday.
differently?
Are you fucking kidding me?
What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah.
I don't know, something crazy.
But you could do that now.
Hypothetically, I could, but there'd be consequences, wouldn't there?
But there's consequences regardless of whether we're in a video game or
No,
not.
because if we're in a video game, I could wake up and I'm fucking still living my boring 9 to 5 life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
Well, it depends on the context you were saying that we're in a video game for. But like, I don't know, bro. Like, if this is truly a simulation, and you're saying that like I now am aware, it's like being like fucking lucid dreaming and like waking up mid dream. Like,
Yeah,
no,
but-
you're not gonna
okay,
fucking
okay.
just go
Okay,
through the motions.
But in my hypothetical, other people in the simulation are also like real people. It's not just like this is like in your brain. Have you heard of this? Like, have you heard of this idea of the Boltzmann brain? This is really interesting.
No, what's the Boltzmann brain?
The Boltzmann brain.
Please enlighten
So it's this idea that it's statistically more likely. It's statistically less likely that a whole universe just formed out of an empty void with all these like galaxies and
We're gonna
stars.
get into like the whole like atheism shit right now.
We can do, but
I mean, like we can touch on it. Like I think that maybe it's important for like context
Yeah.
beforehand. Like,
Okay.
I'm guessing you don't.
well, okay. Let me explain the Boltzmann brain quickly.
Okay. All right, sorry.
So it's statistically more likely that a fully formed human brain spontaneously formed in a vacuum, in a void, than this whole universe forming on its own. So the idea is that like, because like Occam's razor, which is like the idea with the least, the idea that's more likely is the one that probably is true. So if it's statistically more likely that a fully formed human brain could just pop into a void and you're just dreaming all of this around you, versus the statistic possibility of this whole universe just exploding in a big bang and galaxies and all this shit, then you could just be a brain floating in space.
Oh, it makes way more sense that one small component of the Big Bang happened than the whole Big
Then
Bang.
everything happened. Yeah,
Of course. Yeah. It makes
So
sense to me.
that's the Boltzmann brain idea.
But
And
what about
like,
the theory that God created everything?
you know, I love.
I can't even. No, he might have.
Well, listen, like religion's been a thing for a long time, and there's something to be said about, you know, why we
A higher power.
have this need to put our faith in something. Like
Yeah, I get that.
there's evidence-based belief and there's faith-based belief. And again, Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot, where he talks about, you know, science reigns supreme in the realm of facts, and you know, but in the realm of values, you have a value system, right? You have a value system in your brain where you value, there's something at the top of your value hierarchy, and whatever that thing is God to you. And that's what Jordan Peterson talks about. I haven't thought too deeply about it. I don't know whether I.
What do you think is at
agree
the
or
top
not.
of your value hierarchy? If you had to think about it?
Not causing undue harm to other people.
That's pretty bold. I like that.
So yeah, but you know, like the difference between David Hume, I think he's a Scottish philosopher, and he talked about how there's no, like, your value system, like whatever value you have, you cannot generate on your own. It has to be taught to you by your parents, by the law, by your friends, by trial and error or something like that. The difference between that and like a fact is that you can scientifically prove a fact. And we have the scientific method, and you say, like, I know that when I don't know, whatever it is, like if I drop an apple, it'll fall to the ground. And someone says, how do you know? And you go, well, here I go, I drop an apple and it falls to the ground.
Most philosophy is in that kind of range, though, isn't it? Or
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. It's like, you know, I can prove that when I drop an apple, it falls to the ground because I do it and you observe it and it happens. But it's like,
Einstein did it, you know?
but it's like, if I said killing someone is wrong, and you said, well, prove it.
I think
How do I prove that?
I mean, it's like controversial, but like I think like circumstantially it's not wrong. Like if fucking someone did something terrible to me or to my
but
family.
again, like how there's no scientific test that you can do to say this is the degree of crime which warrants capital punishment.
I like to get into like more like of a religious background. Like I think that it's interesting to say like, have you ever had like a religious belief before, or is it more like?
Well, I don't.
If there's like some transition, then maybe that's more. Like,
Well, I side with Elon Musk on this, where he says, I believe that there's some explanation for all of this, and I believe that thing you could call that God. Right?
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think there's no reason. But no, I was raised Catholic, but yeah, like I mean, I had, communion and baptism and all that rubbish, but I don't know. I never really, I feel like I never really like believed in anything. I was just sort of doing it because that was the thing that I was
Going through the motions
that was what I was meant to do.
At that young age, it's so hard to like fucking question anything as well. Like,
yeah, you can't really do anything. It wasn't until I like sort of hit high school where I was like, hey, why am I doing all this? What's the reason? And
I was technically Presbyterian, but like I would say like I had much less involvement with the church.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't go to church very much. Like we went on Christmas and Easter and all the regular things. But I sort of changed my tune on religion and Christianity a little bit, just because I think that it's not all bad. It doesn't like. If you sort of loosely follow your religion, it sort of sets you up pretty well for life, because it gives you these values that are pretty reasonable. They're like, don't, basically obey the law, which is right. Get married, have some children, keep a tight knit family.
There's a lot of good values that I think that like no one can argue that the church like.
But again, obviously there's some hypocrisy in there, because there's some people who don't abide by those values, who are in the church, and they and that causes a lot of problems, right? But all in all, I think if you follow like the generic Christian values of have a good family, get married, have some children, be faithful, don't steal, don't hurt other people, that's a reasonably good way to live your life.
That was my whole like stance on religion for like a long time. It was just like I think that it's like a net positive in the world. And that maybe that wasn't true for like the entire time that it's been around, but like I think like right now it is like a good like compass for people that are looking for like. I think that if you don't have good values, going to the church is not a bad way to live, because like they only promote stuff that like really people should be doing. But like I think a lot of it is for me at least like obvious, and then like doesn't explain the bigger question. I think that's like kind of like my stance.
Yeah, but I think no one can explain the bigger question, and I think that I sort of agree that the supernatural portion of religion, where there's this undying being who existed before anything and created the universe, like that's I don't think anyone could make the argument that that's actually the truth or the objective reality. But
no one can confirm it for sure. But,
well, yeah, exactly. But the consequences of basic religion, and if you're able to ignore all of that supplementary stuff, then you've got a reasonably good direction in which to live your life. But I think the reason that it's sort of told like that is because humans gravitate towards stories. Humans gravitate towards good stories, well told, and if you have a story in your head, it's a lot easier to follow that train. Because if you just came out and said, here are the 10 rules you need to follow for your life, everyone would be like, what the fuck is fuck that.
I mean, like, I'm probably gonna butcher this as well, but like I'm pretty sure, wasn't it like that there was like the whole pagan religion, and then like a lot of those dates were stolen for Christianity because it was convenient in Rome
I mean the Jesus story has been retold like in several iterations. Like there's a lot of old ancient religions that had like a god and a son, and the son came to earth to die for the sins of the populace, and then was resurrected as a symbol for whatever. et cetera, et cetera. And so, you know, that's not unrealistic. But
And my understanding of that was that like the reason they decided to adopt that stuff and carry it through to the next quote unquote religion was because it made it easier to like convert people that were already of. That's why like some dates line up, like, you know, like there's like pagan holidays or whatever.
Yeah,
lining with Jesus' birthday.
Saturnalia, the pagan holiday of.
See, I don't know the specifics, but
that's
like,
Christmas. Yeah,
but you know what I mean. Like it's like it's like super convenient, not convenient. Like they actually did that intentionally, and that's why I find it hard to believe like the quote unquote story. But like, you know, maybe like Elon Musk's theory is like a little bit more close to reality in the sense of like, you know, like maybe there is something out there, but we just don't understand the like specifics. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a whole other thing, you know, about we are just not in tuned enough to understand the world around us. Like there's so much we don't know about the universe. Like there's dark matter, there's black holes, there's all kinds of physics shit that we just, you know, everything just kind of falls apart at the quantum level. We don't know anything.
I mean, I've seen some movies.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean. Like it's super hard to like understand any of that stuff.
Yeah, you can't. And you know, I kind of think of it as like, you know, if
Interstellar.
Interstellar's a good example. Well, but yeah, like I have this idea of like, you know, if you were born without eyes, if eyes were never evolved, if humans never evolved eyes, or if nothing ever evolved eyes, would we know that you could see things? And you know, mic drop. And so, you know, I mean, maybe we would develop tools to like detect like infrared light and UV light and stuff, but you know, are there other senses that we haven't evolved and so we just don't know? Maybe we're, you know, surrounded by.
Well, I mean, like this is like maybe like a dumb thought process, but like my thinking is like if we didn't have sight, would we all turn out like Daredevil?
I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah, you know, like I'd love heightened senses.
Yeah,
in other regards, but it's a trade off. Sure.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, you would live your life that way by using your echolocation or whatever. But that's the only way you would perceive the world. You would have no idea that, oh, this thing I'm holding looks like this, because the concept of look doesn't exist to you.
And looks like is so like relative to like what would happen. I don't feel like we could go back in time and like say like, oh, this looks like this.
Yeah, absolutely not.
They'd understand.
But
you know,
yeah.
You know?
But yeah, that's so you know, as an extension to that, are there senses that we don't have, but there are things out there that we could perceive if we had those senses, and is that relevant to the explanation of where everything comes from?
Like, are you saying that there's like another sense that we don't have that? Like,
well, maybe, I don't know.
yeah, well, that's the fucking big question, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's like why this becomes like a crazy topic. Like, we're all seeing shit from our own perspective, but like, we don't even know if our own perspective is the actual perspective for starters. Could be in a simulation, as we touched on. But then also, we don't even know if there's like more perspectives that we're not considering. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows?
It just becomes infinitely.
We don't know. Like, we don't know. And I hope that, again, technology is going to be our salvation, and we will use technology to find the answers to these questions. And that'll give us a better understanding of where we sit and what our place is in the universe.
What new technology? Like, I mean, like I've kind of talked on this before, but I kind of feel like it has to be like more. Like, there's no way I can get away from it in every fucking talk I have.
Yeah,
it's really like AI. I want to know your thoughts on AI, and I want to know like how you think it's gonna. Because like, you know, there's like a bunch of these like crazy smart people that are saying like, you know, it is like the thing that should have been regulated, the thing that is like the next wave of human thought or whatever, and like I want to know.
I like AI. I like things like ChatGPT. I think they're.
Have you used it yet? Have you like used it?
I've used ChatGPT. It's great. It's really good. And
what do you use it for right now?
I think me and a couple of my work friends were using it to like write commentary for like slide packs and stuff.
Great
for, like,
for slide packs.
So good. It's just like, please write me a thing about why this is whatever, and it just writes it for you.
Oh, the thesis statements, fantastic.
Yeah, so good. But you know, like I followed this course on YouTube that explained how to build a neural network from scratch, in Python or something. Shout out to, I can't remember his name, but it's a really good course. It's like 9 episodes. It's really
if
good.
he remembers, I'll put it in the comments.
I thought the reason I did that was because I really wanted to. So I feel like the best way to understand how something works is to just build it yourself, take it apart, understand every piece of it, and understand how it works. And so I followed this from scratch, and it's super interesting. And like a neural network in itself is actually very simple. It's all it is a series of numbers that get it's a series of matrices. I don't know if you know what a matrix is. It's just like an Excel, if you imagine like an Excel sheet, like a 3x3 bunch of cells and like a bunch of numbers in them, and it's a bunch of matrix multiplication, a bunch of dot products, and you go from an input, it goes to a neuron, the neuron gives it multiplies it by a number, adds a number to it.
So when you say a neuron, when it goes to a neuron, is that like multiple matrices become a neuron? Or is that...
It's hard to explain without diagrams, but basically if you just imagine it as like you've got an input, your input's a number, the number goes to another place and it gets multiplied by something, and something gets added to it, and then it goes to another one, and the same thing happens, and it goes to another one, and eventually you end up with an input and an output number. And that's all it is. So you input one.
It's like a model, kind of. Right?
Kind of, yeah. So you input. It's like a formula, basically. Okay. It's like a math formula, like y equals x times 3 plus 4 or whatever. Gotcha. And so you end up with an input number and an output number, but that gets multiplied like multiple times because you've got several input numbers, several hidden layers, and several output layers. And so all it really is just a bunch of maths. It's just a bunch of maths. It's really all that's all a neural network is a bunch of maths. But the power that you draw from that is extraordinary.
Like a brain, basically, right?
Yeah, it's modeled on how your brain works. So you get some input. So for example, you input a picture, and you want the neural network to tell you if this picture has a dog in it or a cat in it. Right. So you input your picture gets converted into a bunch of numbers, and then those numbers pass through your neural network, and your neural network says this is 82% likely to be a dog and 18% likely to be a cat.
Which is crazy that like that's what our brain does, just like real time.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, that's really all your neural network is, and yeah, all how it does that is just a series of number manipulation and multiplication and addition, and
it's like how actual brain works.
Well, no, like so. Roger Penrose is a very famous physicist, and I think he did a talk about how consciousness is not computable. You can't compute a human conscious the same way that you can program a neural network.
You don't think so at all?
I mean, I would lean towards agreeing with him because he's way smarter than anyone else. Yeah, he's a crazy genius.
I'm not gonna pretend to understand the intricacies of a neural network.
Yeah,
I feel like that's maybe like beyond like even like me, you, maybe even like our listener base.
Yeah. But anyway, but like the thing to understand is that a neural network is basically just an input number and an output number. That's all it is. And you increase the complexity, and you increase the level. You increase the similarity of your neural network to a human brain by increasing the number of inputs, the number of parameters that you receive, and by training it for longer and longer and longer. And so the way you train it is you say like, okay, so here's a picture that I know is a dog, and I want you to change all the numbers in the middle of the neural network such that the output says that this is a dog.
Right.
And you do that with a bunch of pictures, et cetera, and then eventually your neural network starts to realize, oh, here are the characteristics of this picture that result in the answer being dog.
And this is DALL-E explained.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you listen to the Lex Friedman podcast very much. But
I like Lex Friedman a lot. Yeah.
So he's an AI engineer, and he talks about ChatGPT and stuff like that. And he I think he talked about how like even the engineers who built ChatGPT don't necessarily know how it creates the things that it creates.
Which is fucking
which is crazy.
Insane, right?
It's crazy.
So insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like a good way to summarize that whole segment is that we don't know where AI is going, but we do know that it's going crazy places, and like
It's going crazy places.
it's fucking like I don't know, like mic drop levels of like I don't know what's next for human like.
It's I also Elon Musk talks about how AI could be very dangerous, and I think
I've heard that shit as well. Yeah, and that is concerning. When Elon Musk is saying that it could be bad, it's also concerning. Like
I mean, have you heard of the paperclip idea behind AI?
No.
So
I've heard the paperclip claim.
There's this game. There's this game online where the idea is basically that like you build this AI to efficiently make and sell paperclips, right? And that's all it's doing. It's just making,
and the end result is like unattainable. Like
but it's because its goal is to create and sell as many paperclips as possible.
Yeah.
It destroys the earth to create material. It's to create materials to make more paperclips.
That's fucking worrying.
And it consumes the universe just to make paperclips because that's its goal. It doesn't care. It doesn't care that it's killing humans. It's just like I need to make paperclips.
Yeah. And in summary, that is AI.
Yeah. But that's where you sort of need to regulate and say, hey, look, please don't destroy the world to create your paperclips.
Yeah. Please don't destroy the world to create paperclips. And like, I think that like, like, it is like an insane level to reach, but like I think that it is what it is. we can't really do anything about
summary.
it. If fucking AI comes about, like we can't fucking solve that shit. And like at the end of the day, thanks for tuning in.
Sweet. Excellent. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Is that really the end? Is that how you're gonna end it?
I mean, I don't have a good like ending, but like my producer's saying this.
It's time to go. All right.
It's time to stop the recording.
Very good.
So like, I mean, like whether this is a cut or whether this is the end is to be debated. But thanks for tuning in,
Excellent.
guys. Obviously,
right.
there's a lot of stuff we could talk about with Joe. He's fucking
This was fun.
got the
This was
brain
good.
power of Elon Musk.
No way.
Elon Musk with the optimism and craziness of me.
No way. Don't compare me to Elon. Don't insult Elon like that.
Okay, I won't insult Elon like that. I mean, he has done a shit job with Twitter, if we're being honest.
Well, I mean,
and we'll get back into that in the next episode. Joe hates Twitter.
No, listen. Twitter's
Anyways, please like and subscribe. It's been a great episode. Joe, you have anything you want the guys
very good.
to...
No, this is fun. Yeah, very good.
Yeah?
Keen to come back.
Nothing you want to plug?
I plug. What do I want to plug? Nah, I'm good.
All right. YouTube, TikTok. I actually got canceled from Twitter. I didn't say anything. I promise. Yeah, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and that's it.
Oh,
S.AD Ventures, S.AD Ventures.